Greetings, beloved. Welcome this evening to Togetherness Media. This is your host, Anthony Powers, and we have an amazing show today. We have with us Coach Bonnie Sadigh, and we're going to be talking about communication and effective communication. And I always love when she's on the show because she's so full of insight and knowledge.
حرف نزنیم You cannot talk.
All right, we lost each other for a second. Sorry. Now I can see you. How are you doing today?
Hi, Anthony. Good to be with you. Hello, everyone.
Yeah,
How are you doing?
I'm divine. I'm divine. We had some technical issues for a second there, but it seems like we're back.
We are back, yes. And I can see
Yes.
you and I can hear you perfectly. I hope you can hear me as well.
Yes, I can. I can. Week been? How's your week been?
The week has been beautiful, nice, full of hope. Good day.
Good,
Happy
good.
week for me. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So today is the 21st day in the 21st century. The 20 the, you know the 21 the 21st on the in the 21st century. So let's go forward. Let's go forward and do something. 2021, the 21st day in the
Exactly.
21st year of the 21st century.
That's true. So I'm not, if you notice, I'm not in the same usual surrounding that I usually
Yes,
communicate with you. I'm in a different place. I hope that the sound is okay, the lighting is okay.
it's all
You
right.
know, just okay, great. So
No
yes,
cat. You have no
coming
cat
from
around you today. Your
no,
cat,
the
your
cat
cat.
is home today.
Yes,
The cat is home. Yes. So we're talking about communication, and I
yes,
feel like there's not enough time to talk about communication. The more we talk about communication, I think there needs to be even more subjects on communication because it's a very crucial part of us relating to each other. We are
mm,
always continuously communicating with our bosses, with our partners, husbands, wives, children, parents. So all day long we are communicating. And we are either giving a message, we are sharing an idea, we are giving an advice, or simply sharing an emotion or a feeling, or whatever it is that we are communicating with the other person. If we are not getting the end result, if we if the recipient doesn't respond the way that we want them to respond, then it is the communicator's responsibility to shift and communicate in a different way or a more effective way. So the way I break down communication is three steps: before we speak, while we are speaking, and after we speak. Okay. uh, And all three stages have their own importance. We often think that when we are communicating and talking, that is the most important part of the communication. Not so. So
The listening.
the way I've set it up is before you speak, and it doesn't matter who you are speaking to, whether you're speaking one on one with someone, or whether or you're speaking in a public speaking in front of 5,000 people. The steps and the principle stays the same. Okay? If even when you're talking to your child or to your spouse, to your boss, the steps that I'm going to be sharing with you, they all stay the same. Now, before you speak, take a inventory of your state, of your being. How are you feeling? Because our emotional and energetic energy is as important as our words and our verbal communication. How am I feeling? Am
Mm,
I feeling anxious? Am I feeling angry? Am I feeling not confident? So
mm,
take a note, take a mental note of what is going on with you in internally, emotionally,
mm.
energetically.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Okay.
when if you feel that you're in a negative state, if you are angry, if you're anxious, if you whatever the negative state is, simply take a deep breath, and if you can reframe the state. Okay, so
Okay.
even consciously, when you are in a negative state, try to switch it. Do your best to switch it to a positive state of being. Okay, and if you cannot manage your state or your emotional well-being at that moment, maybe you need to take a walk, 2 minute walk, leave the scene, and come back.
I, I
And
I have a question about that.
sure.
I know oftentimes there are, especially in couples, when that happens, when one person wants to walk away just to collect themselves for a minute, like sometimes that the other partner gets frustrated and confrontational when that person wants to walk away in order to in order to come back and do things from a more amiable, more controlled, more like a more empowered manner, like where conflict won't be as inevitable. How do people who are in those type of relationships, where like when a person needs that space to walk away, the other person doesn't give that space?
Right. So even in that situation, don't just storm out or walk away. Tell your partner, honey, I like to have this conversation, but give me 2 minutes to collect my thoughts. I'll come back in 2 minutes and we can continue the conversation. Okay? So even when you're walking out and when you want to take that space for yourself, verbalize it, say it. I just need 2 minutes. Can you give me 2 minutes to collect my thoughts, to calm myself? And then I promise I'll come back and we can continue the conversation. Does that sound good? So if you do that, I am pretty sure that the partner will agree to it.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
uh, does that answer your question?
Yeah, which call it. I hope it works for some people because some people have partners who aren't always rational, especially in emotional situations. So hopefully that helps people out there who have those partners. And also maybe if you have a precursor for in the future when we get into disagreements, I may like if it's something that's set up as as a safety valve ahead of time, almost like a safe word that I need to walk away. Like, if we ever get into an argument and one of us needs to walk away, to collect our thoughts and to collect our emotions so that we don't hurt each other with our words. Let's make sure that we give each other that space. And I think that's something that will really be helpful for couples there's a pre-communication guidelines and pre-communication protocols that are set up so
Absolutely.
that when that happens, doesn't come as a surprise or a shock.
And that goes hand in hand with setting boundaries. When you have strong,
Yes.
healthy boundaries, that is respected, that is understandable and respected between couples. So going
Right.
back to before speaking, uh, give yourself a little bit of an affirmation. A little
Mm,
affirmation will go a long way. So if you're feeling unsure of yourself,
mm,
maybe talk to yourself in a positive way, in an empowering way, before you go and speak to someone that you're intending to speak to. And always, always be authentic and genuine. Okay, nothing feels better to the person receiving the communication than authentic and genuinely hearing you talk. So we talked about if you're angry or upset, take a moment for yourself and walk away and trick your brain by thinking more positively and confidently and adjust your posture. A lot of times when we are feeling a little bit not confident or a little bit unsure of ourselves, we tend to slouch. The minute we consciously think about our posture and we stand tall with our head up, something happens to our neurology and the cells in our body that all of a sudden we feel, oh, I feel better about myself. Just the
mm.
posture by itself. So and then, yes, so before we speak, it is very, very important to adjust your state. Okay? Now, while you speak, it's not just the words that you use, yes, are very, very important. However, they're not as important as the way you hold yourself, your body language, the tone of your voice. It is said that the words that you use in communication has 7% of the whole communication.
Mm.
Your body language takes 55% of the communication, and the tonality of your voice takes 38%. So 55% is your body language, 38% is the tone of your voice, the tonality, and only 7% is the words that you speak. So you
We
see
see that.
how important,
We see
you
that a
see
lot,
how,
especially with animals.
yes,
Especially when dealing with
yes,
animals, like there's like that's when like when you actually see that come into fruition. Um, like sometimes like people want to baby their animals with a baby voice, and like, why won't my animal ever listen to me? Is because your baby voice doesn't elicit respect as the alpha in the animal. So to you always when you come into a baby voice, unless it's something that's self-serving for them, and even sometimes when it's not, even sometimes when it is self-serving to them, they may not come because it's not a voice or a tonality that they respect.
yes. Body language is very important because it gives us cues, non-verbal cues, and how on how the other person is feeling or uh, their emotional state, their mental state. It gives, if you pay attention to someone's body language when you're talking to them, it gives you a lot of clues about that person and about the communication, if it's going well or if it's being received well or if it's not being received well. Okay,
Yeah.
so pay attention
One
to body
one
language.
one interesting point about that shows how important body language is that even to blind people who are having a conversation with each other will use hand gestures. They'll use their hands when talking with each other, even though neither one of them can see each other's hands. So that just shows how innate body language is to our forms of communication.
Yes, yes. So to help you get to that comfortable level, we NLPers say that you need to build rapport by matching and mirroring. And that means
We
to
need to
when
be a
you want
what?
rapport.
It's rapport. Okay.
Uh-huh. So when you want to build that relationship, that rapport, you want to make sure that you find some common grounds with the person that you're talking to. And this is in case that you are talking to someone new. Okay,
Hmm.
find some commonality, some shared experiences, and make sure that when you're talking to someone, if they are sitting, don't go stand on top of their head and start yelling with not yelling intentionally yelling, but with like hyper energy talking to them. Feel their energy first. If they're sitting down comfortably, quietly, you sit down next to them and try to match their energy before you start speaking with them. If they're standing, maybe it's best for you to stand next to them and mirror their posture. If they're like, they have their hand on their hip, or if they're sitting with their arms like this, not in a mimicking way, but in a very subtle way, match and mirror the body language.
When you said that, it reminded me of this.
I invite you to try that. And when we were in training years ago, this was one of our assignments. That after this lesson, matching and mirroring, which I'm just giving you a snippet of it today, after the whole day of matching and mirroring, then the instructor said, "Now I want you to go to a restaurant and match and mirror the waiter, the guy sitting next to you, and see how what happens." And it was so interesting that like strangers would come to you and speak to you. I remember after class, I was in a restaurant
Mm.
alone, and I was doing this with the person serving my food. And at the end, she goes, "You know what? I really like you. I'm not going to charge you for the wine, and I'm going to give you another
Mm.
glass of wine." So
Nice.
amazing things, yeah, amazing things happen when you get to that rapport and to that comfortable level of trusting someone. So because
Yeah.
when you're connecting and when you're building rapport, you are signaling to the other person that I'm like you, that you can
So
trust me, I can trust you.
So I like it. When you were talking about the hand on the hip, that was this old song. I put my hand up on my hip when I dip, you dip, we dip, which is, I guess, kind of what you're talking about, getting that mirroring. And
Yes,
how important in romantic relationships is
very.
mirroring, like is mirroring, like especially for some people who are trying to build new romances. Do new romances just mirroring usually elicit elicit the same type of response of commonality and of
Yes.
fondness?
Yes, yes, yes. Even when you're building a new relationship and when you are looking for a new relationship, yes. I invite you to go and try it. I can, for whoever that really wants to learn this technique, I have an ebook on communication. And I can, whoever reaches out to Togetherness Media, I can definitely send them this ebook free of charge. And it's a short ebook. There are a lot of nuggets in there that you can read and practice and see how it affects and makes your
Yeah.
communication even more fantastic.
Tasty nuggets. You know,
So,
another song it reminded me of is like there's this old Sade song that I absolutely love. Like you're moving the way I move. I breathe your air. I've always loved that line. That's like one of the lines I've always loved. You're moving
yeah,
the way I move. I breathe your air, and only you can rescue me. This is my prayer. Um, and like yeah, so that mirroring, and then like And then, like one of the good things that I would probably say about that mirroring, does it allow the person that you're mirroring to see themselves a little bit more clearer? Is that also a benefit of it?
Sure, sure. Yeah, you can say that too. Because in a way, when they're trusting you, they can be more open, more clear, more vulnerable. And once you let go and you don't have your guards up, then of course you share more authentically, you share more genuinely, and therefore you get in touch with yourself in a deeper way.
Mm.
So yes,
Is that one? Is that
in a
also a
way,
reason why?
go ahead.
Is that a reason why dance while dancing because it's an act of mirroring each other and empathy and moving around with each other, is that a reason why dancing is sometimes such a beautiful act of building intimacy between couples because it's literally an exercise of mirroring and the push and pull of mirroring.
Exactly. Exactly. Very good point. Because in communication, once you build that rapport, then you build the rapport and you ask them to follow you. You lead
Mm.
and they follow. So it's like a
Yes.
dance. Absolutely. Sometimes you're in the lead. Sometimes your partner is in the lead. Sometimes you are communicating. Sometimes the partner is communicating. So it becomes a dance. Absolutely. I love that analogy, actually. Very nice. So, and then the next one is tonality. Like if
Okay.
I am talking to you softly, you're not going to come and talk to me like, what happened today and blah, 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 blah. So you stay
Hmm.
quiet. You match the tonality of the person that you're communicating with. Of course, I'm not
Hmm.
asking to be monotone and to a point that your receiving end gets bored and falls asleep. But be very
Yes.
careful. If they have a high pitch, maybe you bring your pitch a little bit higher. If they speak a little bit faster, maybe you want to speak a little bit faster. Or if they take their time with their words and they want to be really concise with their words, then copy that.
Yeah. I
So
have some friends who
that
take their time with the words and they're not concise at all. I'm like, get to the point. Some of my friends, like I have one friend who speaks so slow and he can never get to the point. I'm like, bro, give me the
let's
cliff notes,
see.
bro. Give me the cliff notes.
I mean, in this communication, yeah, we can talk for hours about it. I'm just giving you snippets
Yes.
of what is
I mean,
important.
no,
Then after
I
you
love it. It's so informative.
thank you. So after you speak, you stop. You
Hmm.
listen for the response. See, the communication is two ways. You it's not just that you're talking, someone else is listening. The responsibility of the person that is listening is as important as the person that is talking. And I think next week, if I'm on, we can talk about active listening because that's a whole
Yeah.
another thing about listening. So
Yeah.
making
That's
it very
we
short,
don't
you need to,
that's one
when
thing
you
as an
once you
actor.
after
As a no say as an actor like that's like one of the strongest points of being an actor are the parts in the scenes where you're not talking, where you're just reacting to the person who are giving the lines or what's going on around you, and then that listening and that reacting is like actually one of the
responding,
points. Yeah, yeah.
Anthony. Yeah,
That
responding. We don't want to react. We want to respond.
yes. Truth.
So when you stop talking, then allow the person that has been listening to say to give you feedback, to tell you
Mm,
their thoughts. And in active listening, we listen with our five senses. What that means is that you really, the intention of listening is so that you
mm,
understand what the intention of the communicator was. not what you want to get from the communication, not
Mm,
by you judging the communicator's words and message.
yeah.
It's dropping all the judgment, holding off on the urge to interject, waiting until the person finishes, and then giving feedback. And while you're listening, you are listening with the intent to understand the message of the communicator and what they are intending to convey to you. A lot of people, and I'm guilty of that, I used to do that sometimes too. When the other person is talking, I'm already in my mind thinking about rebuttal points and what I'm going to say right after they finish or interject
Hmm.
in the middle of their talk. So that's the gist of active listening. But we can talk about it for hours. We can do a workshop on communication. But that's
That would be beautiful.
basic, yes. And always, uh, at the end of the day, when you're talking, no matter, again, no matter who you are talking to, always come from a positive and a confident place.
Yeah.
Okay? Make
So,
sure that, yeah, go ahead.
um, one question is like, how important is it? I know one of the first steps were setting your emotions and like in setting your resetting yourself and giving yourself affirmations. How important is it to do that as well during the course of active listening? Because sometimes people might do that before the conversation starts, but after the conversation starts, especially if they hear things that aren't pleasing to, how important is it for them to constantly do that reset of like reset of their feelings even during while active listening during the conversation.
You're talking about the listener, right?
Yeah, the listener, because before you respond, we said before the conversation, you'll yourself into a certain mind state that would be most
Absolutely.
beneficial as far as your confidence. How important is it for people to do that even during the conversation, as far as active listening, to remember to take that
Absolutely.
space to try to
So,
manage.
yes. So, for that, I have another technique because sometimes when you're talking, uh, affirmation, you don't want to stop and give yourself affirmation, and even if you're doing it in your mouth, you might be losing your train of thought. Another thing
Hmm.
that I do, and I teach people to do it, it's anchoring. So before you go on a talk and public speaking, if you want to feel confident, then anchoring is to bring a memory or an experience that you had, that, let's say, you want to build confidence, that you at that moment you've truly felt confident, and we elicit
Hmm.
that and relive that experience of confidence, and then we anchor it, most often on an knuckle. And then what
Hmm.
anchoring does, it's a very subtle way that when you are feeling you're losing the confidence or you're getting a little bit anxious, you touch that knuckle, the confident anchor, and all of a sudden the subconscious mind remembers that confident, and you get that confident in your posture and in your tone and in the way you talk. We do that for energy. Let's say I know trainers and public speakers that speak for 7, 8, 10 hours a day, and for rebooting their energy, they usually have an energy anchor, and it's most often on their earlobe. So if you see someone touching their earlobe like that, that's the energy anchor. So that's kind of an affirmation, but in a
Reminds me of Bewitched. Didn't
yes,
she do that sometime in Bewitched? Well, like what show was that? There was like an old
yes,
show.
that
Was it
was it.
Bewitched? Or would she grab her like earlobe? She'd also do the nose thing. I can't do her nose thing, but
Like,
yeah, I
yeah.
think she'd grab her ear sometime.
So that's all I have for tonight. Let's
That was a
plan
lot.
to talk to talk and dive deeper into active listening next time I'm with you. On.
Beautiful, beautiful. Tell people where they can find you.
So they can go at Coach Bonnie NLP. That's my Instagram page. I would love for you to be a part of that page, or you can go visit my website at bonniesadigh.com.
And abs, which call it Coach Bonnie. Check her out. Go to her website. She's full of information. She's
Please.
full of knowledge. She's full of empathy,
Thank
and she
you.
wants to help. She wants to help. That's what she's here for. So if you need help in communication, if you need life coaching, if you need, like she's there for so much. So check her out. Go to her website. Go to any of her social media and reach out to this lady because this lady will be there for you. I
And
love you,
I
Coach Bonnie.
apologize for the lighting. I'm sitting in dark with just one light in front of me. I know the lighting wasn't the most perfect one,
It's
but we made it happen.
it
Take
It's
care.
okay.
Have
You
a
are a
good
light.
night.
You are a light, so it's fine.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Take care. That was Coach Bonnie Sadigh. This is This Evening. I'm Anthony Powers. You're beautiful. We thank you for watching. We thank you for subscribing. We thank you for clicking all those notification buttons on all of our social media. And you know what? Stay tuned. We have plenty of content coming up, and we'll be back tomorrow. I love you so much. Be loved. Be loved. Remember that you're loved and be divine.